Now for what's tipping the scales, Mama Donna Adelson appearing in court for the first time with her new attorneys. Jackie Fulford and Josh Zellman replaced her former counsel. Donna, previously represented by Daniel Rashbaum, who also represented Donna's son Charlie, you might remember, at his murder trial. And that became the problem, right? Remember, the day before Donna's trial was set to start, Rashbaum withdrew from the case. There was a conflict of interest, a very glaring conflict, and his co-counsel dismissed for the same reasons, because of what you can't do, your partner can't do. Now, the judge ruled that the new attorneys can't even use the investigators that the previous team used. This is interesting. Take a listen.
Because of your order disqualifying, we have not even spoken with the investigators that were previously retained because we did not want to create a conflict.
I can speak to the investigators in camera if you desire, but at the moment, it's probably best to consider them the fruit of the poisonous tree.
Donna Adelson is accused in the murder of her former son-in-law, Dan Markel, a beloved father and professor, an all-around wonderful guy, according to many friends who have spoken to this network about him. And this is all about justice for him. That's been a long time in coming. So we're wondering now, as we look ahead to Donna Adelson's trial, how's this new legal team going to tip the scales for her? Let's bring in our guest. Wait, it's the morning of high-profile attorneys. Want to welcome in former prosecutor, now he's in the private sector, attorney Randolph Rice. Randolph, good morning to you. What do you think about Mama Donna having some brand new counsel for trial?
Well, she had to do this. Obviously, there was the conflict because of her previous attorney representing her son, and he would have had too much information that could have been a conflict against her case. And I think the judge certainly made a good point of saying, hey, not only are the lawyers tainted, but also the investigators, because it's that fruit of the poisonous tree, a common term we use in the legal field. It is certainly going to be tough for her moving forward because of the fact that they're a little bit behind the 8 ball. They've got a lot on their plate to have to sort of catch up with such a short period of time. So they've got their work cut out for them.
They sure do. You're right, Randolph. And we know that the judge is going to keep them on a tight schedule. This case has been lingering, as you know, and the judge really wants to get it on track. We have a clip. This is kind of cute. The judge, when asked about the scheduling matters, had a kind of a funny response. Let's take a listen.
That trial period would have been June the 16th to July the 2nd. Not sure if Your Honor would be able to make that available to us, but that's when we all were available to try the case.
I would need to check my personal calendar because we all answer to someone and I answer to Mrs. Everett.
Yes, sir.
Whether or not I'm available the first week of July, I cannot tell you at the moment, but I will check.
All right, so he may be the Honorable Stephen Everett, and he wears the robe, but Mrs. Everett is the boss at home, apparently. So he also indicated he doesn't want the trial to be delayed any further. Let's take a look at that clip.
There's too much logistics that are involved with moving prisoners, with everyone who needs to be brought to here for making this trial actually happen. So when that trial date is set, it is going to be firm. However, you will have the time that you need to prepare.
Okay, so Randolph, here's where we are. We pulled those couple clips from the hearing. It was kind of a long hearing, but they never did set a date. So how common is that in a homicide case, you know, based on your experience such as this, where you've got the change of lawyers and we don't know when it's going?
Yeah, so you've got 2 lawyers on the defense side, and trying to get 2 lawyers to schedule something may be one of the most difficult things to do. On top of that, remember, Charlie is the son, Donna Adelson's son, is being held in either a North Dakota or South Dakota prison. So they're going to have to transfer him from there, which is a logistical nightmare. So that's going to take a lot of planning. It's not unusual for a judge to leave an open-ended calendar, but a lot of times he will say, I want dates by this future date, so that he can then set his calendar as well. There's a lot of moving parts. And I will note, you know, I've heard a lot of judges say, you know, the only place I get to make my own decisions is in this courtroom. All the other decisions get made at home by Mrs. Judge.
Isn't that the truth? Oh my goodness. So Randolph, thinking ahead to when this goes, as you know, it's going to be captivating, interest not only here in the United States, around the world. People have learned about the Adelsons. We know incrementally there's been justice as case by case has been tried, and conviction after conviction has come. And so now kind of we're getting higher up in the family. She's the matriarch, said to be the mastermind. What problems do you think the state of Florida could have in proving its case against her, being that she is removed from the actual act that occurred?
Right. Well, I think the state of Florida actually has a pretty good case here because they have so many people in their pocket that they're going to be able to use. Remember, they've got Charlie, the son, who was convicted. They've also got the other people who they theoretically could offer some sort of deal to. I doubt they will, but at least they can provide them as witnesses. But remember, the biggest piece of evidence that the state's got is this one-way ticket to Vietnam. And why was she heading to Vietnam? And there are discussions that she had with family members that she was going there because it was a non-extraditable country. So the state certainly has the old, what you do after the crime oftentimes will sink you. That's one of those big ones. Getting caught on that, about to board that flight to Vietnam is going to be tough for her to explain. And I wonder, is she going to get on the stand and try to explain that?
Oh, yeah. I think you're spot on with that analysis, Randolph. And then what's it going to look like when Charlie testifies against her? That's the other big question. This is a mess.